Thank you, delegates. On behalf of Australian unions, I would like to sincerely thank Jill Biddington, Sarah Charlesworth, Paul Munro and Brian Howe for the wonderful work that they've done on this report. Brian is absolutely right when he says that it is the job of unions to defend the rights of working people. This has been the story of our history. The report delivered today has shone a light on the crisis of insecure work in Australia. This is a global issue as well. It's being played out all over the world, one which has captured the attention of some of our most revered institutions like the ILO. And I'd like to acknowledge that Dan Cunningham, who heads up the Workers' Bureau at the ILO, is here listening to this presentation today. Tackling that crisis will be another page in our proud history of standing up for working people. Employers have taken advantage of workplace changes to put people on contracts and employ workers as casuals. And as Brian said, this is not about improving efficiency or productivity. It is about shifting risks and costs onto workers to increase profits. And delegates, rest assured, this is a deliberate attack on unions' ability and right to organise. This is a campaign for our times. It's a campaign about an issue that permeates throughout the whole economy, but has the starkest impact on those people who can least afford it. Women whose caring needs force them into insecure work because there is no real choice. Migrant workers who experience some of the worst forms of exploitation. Older men who've lost their permanent, secure jobs and find themselves stuck in a cycle of insecure work. And young people at the beginning of their working lives who are trying to break out of insecure work and start a career. The very people who need a strong union movement to speak up for them. I think I can confidently say that the inquiry has been a mammoth undertaking on a level never attempted by the union movement before. It received, as we heard, over 520 written submissions, 67 of those from concerned academics, from unions and from community organisations, and the rest from the workers themselves, who told us about their lives and their experiences. They spoke of how the lack of a secure job feeds their anxieties about paying the bills, how it erodes their prospects for career development, and it makes it so hard to plan for their futures. We did set the panel an absolutely punishing workload and a travel schedule right around the country that left, a lot of our planning to be desired, and we thank you very much for the hard work you put into that. And we heard from dozens of workers, very courageous people who were determined to speak out, even though in many cases they risked retribution from their employers. The slideshow that was playing behind me featured some of those people, and others are actually here today. And some of them are in the audience, and I will ask them to come to the stage shortly. We have workers from a range of industries, some in insecure work themselves, others in permanent jobs, determined to stem the tide of insecure work. So I'd like to ask to come up to the stage. We have George from the TWU. George? George is a Qantas delegate and our ACTU Delegate of the Year. Thank you, George. George, come on. We have Chris, a casual academic from the NTU. No, I'm getting them all mixed up. Chris. From the Firefighters Union, it's not hard to pick the firefighters, we have Marina and Phil. We have Terry, a TAFE teacher and AEU delegate. Welcome, Terry. We have Phil, a labour hire worker in Newcastle and a very proud MUA member. We have Juan, an out worker and TCFUA member. Juan. Andrew and Roger from the FSU, Westpac workers. And from the AWU glass industry, we have delegates Ross and John. And we have a PSA proud member, Nathan. Welcome, Nathan. Now, these workers are delegates who are fighting for job security and casual workers who all appeared and gave evidence very bravely at our Insecure Work inquiry. And all delegates have received a copy of the final report, which is called Lives on Hold, Unlocking the Potential of Australia's Workforce. Now, I think this is a landmark document. Not only describes the nature of work in Australia today and the impact of secure work on individuals and our society, but it lays out a very clear agenda, an agenda that unions can pursue over the next decade and beyond. The inquiry's report makes it absolutely clear that our workplace system has not kept up with the changing nature of the workforce. No IR system can be truly fair if it leaves 40% of workers without adequate protections and entitlements. Employers, of course, say there's no turning back. They argue that they need flexibility to meet the demands of a modern globalised economy. But Australian workers are no fools. They know that the real agenda of employers with insecure work is to shift all the risks and costs of employment onto the worker so as to maximise profits. There's no reason why we should accept that a modern economy must drive insecure work. So now, delegates, it's over to us, the ACTU and unions, to have a well-resourced, thoughtful campaign for a society that values workers not as commodities, but as people who deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. We know that tackling insecure work will not be solved overnight. It's a huge issue and it requires a big approach. And we realised that when we launched the Secure Jobs, Better Future campaign last year, that we are going to have to be in this for the long haul. It's the job of a peak body to articulate the union movement's agenda, to build coalitions and to shape the public debate. We need to do this not just because it sets the terms on which unions can bargain and represent their members, but hopefully we can create a space for progressive governments to deliver lasting reforms, reforms that will make a real difference to the lives of working people. That's why campaigning matters. I've been overwhelmed by the enthusiasm and the engagement with this campaign throughout the union movement, particularly from organisers and from delegates and rank-and-file members around the country, but also from national secretaries who sit on the ACTU's executive. Because union people know that this is the biggest workplace challenge of our times, and they are eager to roll up their sleeves and make the campaign a success. Now, to do that, we need to campaign industrially, through our organising and in the community. We need to leverage off all of our industrial campaigns. Job security and the trend towards insecure work is at the very heart of many disputes like the Qantas dispute and the Bayarda poultry chicken dispute in Victoria. Many unions are already campaigning against casualisation and insecure work in their industries. We are aware of this. So our aim is to link these campaigns and begin new ones. We can share the knowledge we've learned, we can share our experiences and our resources to win secure jobs for our members. We need to campaign through organising. We know that secure jobs are most likely in workplaces where unions have a strong presence and are well organised. So our goal must be to organise and recruit in workplaces so that collectively we can demand secure jobs. We need to campaign in the community. We've been totally bowled over by the massive interest and support for this campaign from the community sector. Insecure work is as much a social issue as it is an industrial one. Community organisations see the impact of insecure jobs every day in the families they help. This issue is an opportunity to renew the links and coalitions that made Your Rights at Work so successful. And, delegates, we need to run a political campaign. The solutions to insecure work will undoubtedly require legislative change to create an industrial relations system that protects all workers and provides a universal set of rights and entitlements. We already know this campaign is starting to bite. Secure jobs, or the term secure jobs, has crept into the political and social vernacular. Even Tony Abbott last week tweeted those magic words, secure jobs. Ultimately, no, I don't think he did mean it. There's a comment down there. Ultimately, we want this campaign to be ubiquitous, a campaign that cannot be avoided and which permeates everything that unions do. And so we know that the fight for better rights and conditions for these and all workers will continue, but it's a fight that we're excited about. Just like the Your Rights at Work campaign before it, it's a fight we must have. If we don't begin to address this problem now, just think how bad it will be in 20 years' time. We want a society where everyone has the right to a job they can rely on, a job where they feel secure in their work, can grow their career, support their family, and if they want to, own their own home. We're going in the wrong direction. We have to stop it. It's an issue that's taken decades to entrench itself in Australia, and I know we won't change it overnight. It's complex, and rest assured, delegates, our opponents will pour massive resources into fighting against this. The solutions will not be easy, but nothing ever is. I now call on Paul Howes to move the resolution. Thank you, delegates.